Welcome to Bradshaw's Box. I'll be your host, Saudi Bradshaw, and today we're going to cover 5 tips to get you started in Craftopia. Let's do this. Tip number 1. In Craftopia, there is an age evolution. Similar to RTSs like Age of Empires, you'll be able to upgrade to the next age after collecting enough materials or resources to pay for that age. So in Craftopia, you'll gather materials such as copper, stone, iron, leather, meat, and as we get an altar of evolution, it's going to ask us for these materials to upgrade to the next age. We'll also show you all the available new gear, crafting materials, food, all that jazz that's going to be provided in the next age. So to get to the latest era, you'll need lots of resources. So early on, I recommend collecting as much feces as humanly possible. When we get the aging station, that's going to allow us to turn feces into saltpeter and saltpeter into gunpowder. The most recent era will need a lot of gunpowder to be able to unlock. So these age evolutions, I don't want you setting up base on the first island. Seems easy enough, but get here, get what you need, and move on. You are going to get the altar of transportation here shortly. From there, you're going to start at the very bottom left corner with the level 0 island. The islands surrounding it will be level 1, surrounding those, level 2, level 3, and all the way up to level 7 is the current highest. By game release, I expect we'll have level 9 islands. Each island level is going to correspond with the ore that is going to be available on that island. So in the starter island, we have stone, we have some copper, we have some iron, and I think there's some titanium and some random stuff here and there. To be able to mine ore, you need a pickaxe that is at least 1 star lower or higher than the ore that you were trying to mine. So if a stone pickaxe is a 1 star, and you were trying to mine iron, which is a 2-star material, you need a 1-star copper pickaxe to actually mine the iron, or higher. At the moment, our highest pickaxe in game is going to be the diamond pickaxe, which I believe is an 8-star. And by the time you're at the latest age, it will unlock all the upgrade opportunities for your gathering tools along the way. So your potential for progression in the game is determined by the island level you are on and the age evolution that you have ascended to. So throw down that altar of evolution and get that altar of transportation. Unlock as many islands up to a level 7. I highly recommend the 4 biome island on a level 7. That will give you great opportunities for collecting different logs associated with the biome enchants on each one of those areas. And it's also just a good place to hang out. It looks really pretty. There's a volcano, a frost mountain, there's the desert, a jungle. It's a good time. And the altar of evolution. Make sure you are constantly checking what materials you need next to get to the next age. That should be your main priority. Okay, so tip number 1. Advance to the latest age and advance to the latest level island. Tip number 2. Be on the lookout for dungeons in your area. Dungeons allow you to find some nice gold chests that have some potential great weapons or enchanted ore or other materials inside them. They're usually guarded by some sort of creature, so be wary or not. There are 3 different dungeons at the moment. We have the Dungeon of the Island, as you just saw, looks like it's sprouting out of an oak tree. Your opportunities in here are going to be the Wise Ruler King Mono, the Ancient Golem, both variants. There's a blue and a gold. The gold one will appear on higher level islands. You can also find the Executioner boss that has the sweet axes you can dual wield. You will also find the Reaper boss in here, with potentials for Leor as well as the Tyrant Snake. I actually haven't seen them in a while. So whatever island you appear on, there's always going to be a preset number of dungeons in the same place on that island. It's just what boss appears in the dungeon may differ. So we have the Dungeon of the Island. Again, looks like it's sprouting from the oak tree. We also have the Royal Tomb. In the Royal Tomb, you can find the Griffin boss or the Lizard Gunner boss. And lastly, we have the Abandoned Mine, which is where you gather a lot of the green ore or materials for crafting nice furniture or your chick furniture in your house once you get to one of the later ages. Each of these bosses will have specific enchants associated with them and specific materials that they drop. One of the age evolutions is going to require hard leather, which is dropped by the Lizard Gunner. So, you'll have to explore some different islands. Good luck finding the dungeons or the bosses that you really need to gather the materials that you're looking for to make the best build possible. Again, it is all RNG. I've had some people in the Discord and on the YouTube really struggling with finding an Executioner boss from time to time. So maybe try the desert. Lizards are specific to the desert and goblins are specific to like meadows. That's not necessarily true for the bosses, because I have found a lizard or an executioner boss in the meadows area, still in the dungeon on the island, the oak tree dungeon. But that was a couple updates ago, and the game is constantly evolving. So do your best, be on the lookout. In worst case scenario, join a friend's game. If they've already found the executioner boss, y'all can just hang out and do some farming. If you're really not enjoying the amount of loot that you're having to split with your buddy, go check out my mod video and you can download the more multiplayer loot. That way the more people that are in the lobby, the more loot the boss drops, so you're not having to double up on your farming just because you can't find an executioner boss. Side note, most dungeons have a breakable wall at the very beginning and at the very end of the dungeon. There will almost always be a gold chest behind that breakable wall, which means on a level 7 island, that gives you the opportunity of collecting your very own Arabian Night. Clearly I'm modded, I'm level 1 on a level 0 island, so anyways. A third tip for you. Setting yourself up for success in the early game against some heavy-hitting bosses. Defense goes a long way in this game. Around endgame, if you're about 200 points of defense, it's hard to take damage. You can basically stand there and slap a boss around and laugh and smile. If you're not at around 150 to 200 defense, you're going to start taking some damage in the late game. If you want to farm some bosses and not get smacked around in every dungeon that you run through and have to be top tier Raj Doler of the century, I would highly recommend getting a shield and throwing down on some ironclad and maybe get yourself a parry or strong bash or taunt. You don't need to spend the entire game going for a defense build, it just gives you a good startup. So maybe by the time you're level 20, you can use your very first skill reset to then allocate your skill points a little more appropriately. But in the early game, get yourself one heal, throw the rest in defense. That way you have some sustainability, some survivability, and you can actually get through some of these bosses without rage quitting after each and every dungeon. A side note on top of that, if you've noticed, I have this bad boy on my hotbar. I can also get / here and drag it onto my hotbar. So, these have two separate cooldowns. I can use the / on the cutlass, and I can also use the / on my actual skill. Their cooldowns are independent of one another. Their mana consumption is going to be the same. The difference here, the sword has a predetermined level for the / It is level 5. Its maximal level can go up to 6. So, if I upgrade this all the way to level 6, it will be slightly, 10% more damage than what the cutlass can do, but this is definitely a great early game item. So don't just worry about the skills, but there are good gear that already has passive or active skills attached to the gear. You just drop that gear on your hotbar, and you can equip it, and that way you can use that piece of gear skill alongside your actual active skill from the skill tree. Tip number 4, combat and enchanting your gear. So whatever creature you may be fighting, which they will vary depending on the biome you're in, they also can drop materials with enchants associated to that creature. So we can see on the talent and the fang here that it has the bear enchant. We can also get a Talon that doesn't have any enchants on it that can drop from any creature that drops Talons. So Bears gives us attack plus 15 and defense plus 2 and attack speed plus 5%. If I'm crafting some gear and it's asking me for, I don't know, 5 Talons and 5 pieces of leather, I can use 5 bear Talons and 5 bear leather to hopefully get a bear hat. I don't know, whatever you're trying to make. I think you get what I'm getting at. So bear leather, yeah, I can make a bow or something. You can stack up to 4 enchants on any piece of gear. So if I go to the crafting station to make one of these bad boys, and all the materials I have each have a different enchant on them, you can check the probability of whatever enchants are going to appear. As you get later in the game, you can even get enchant points, which will be collected through chests as well as supply pods that fall randomly RNG around the island. You'll get 200 points per supply pod. The cost of forcing an enchant is going to vary depending on its rarity and its likelihood of appearing. Again, you can stack 4 enchants on a single piece of gear. If you need any help designing what gear you'd like to fit your build as best you can, hop in the Discord or check out some of my other YouTube content to find what some builds that I've gone with. I have a great beginner guide of how to get started. This way is going to show you how to collect some decent logs, some decent ore, rock, stone, and get some good basic gear down early game. And this will probably take you to around level 15 to level 20, get you set up for success, and then you can start hunting some bosses to really build that top tier gear. Tip number 75. Set up some automation stations. I got a video covering a bunch of different ones being set up, and I'll have more coming out as the game keeps on progressing. At the moment, I got a water farm, a tree farm, an auto bioethanol farm. We can set up a cog farm, we can set up a iron farm, you can set up an automation station for just about anything. Some of the heavy hitters early on that's going to be really beneficial is getting your bioethanol set up, getting a cog farm set up, and a battery farm is going to be super useful as well. So for your auto bioethanol farm, simple enough. Once you get to the point that you can plant wheat fields and you've progressed to an era that you have the automated saw, you can jump and stack a bunch of wheat fields, I think up to a max of 12 to 17. I think at 12 you can still water them all. At 17 it gets a little weird, so maybe try for 12. I have a simple 6 stack going on here. So you set up the stacks, you trap a saw guy on the inside. Every time they get watered and grow, he'll go back and attend them, he'll cut it. The wheat will then be absorbed into our absorbers here, into the chest, and from the chest, you apply the connector antenna thing, and then you can start automating the flour on the cauldron. Drop a dropper on the cauldron, and it's going to start dropping the flour onto our conveyor belts, which will then be sucked into a chest once more. And then it gets an antenna on the chest that will attach to the aging facility, and that is where you can automate your bioethanol. And once again, drop a dropper on the aging facility and onto the conveyor belts. And before you know it, you'll have plenty of auto bioethanol to unlock islands or whatever else you need it for. So figure out creative ways to set up your own automation stations. It's like half of the fun of the game is how unique or interesting you can get these guys to set up. I've seen some great content from JVH or Craftopia Wiki, other good YouTube accounts you can check out for more Craftopia content. I've seen some crazy tower builds doing a bunch of different stuff like this. You can set up some lava pit farms for different creatures or moving roots. Just about everything in this game has an automation feature or availability to it, so explore, get creative, and see what you can automate. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Hope it was useful. Those are my tips for getting started off on the right foot for Craftopia. It's a great game to get distracted, stay entertained with your friends, or get creative making automation stations, or stacking enchants on some certain gear to make the craziest, most OP, or maybe specific build you can go for. Attack, magic, travel, crit. There's tons of opportunities with all the available materials in game, the different biomes, the level progression of the islands, and the age evolution. It keeps everything interesting. It allows a lot of different progressions in game, thus giving you a lot of gratification and just a sense of improvement as you keep on getting distracted in your time in Craftopia. So thanks for tuning in, guys. If you're an avid player and you got any more tips for any of the beginner players, I'd love if y'all dropped it below. And hey, hop in the Discord, hang out with the crew, join the game, or show off some dope gear that you got put together. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Good luck, enjoy the ride, and I'll catch you at some point. Peace out, y'all.